as we get going here, let's kind of rehash a little bit about really our opening game last week. And, that was our second game, but it was really hard to distinguish what we needed to work on and not work on after the first game because we didn't play our starters that long. This was kind of our coming out party. Unfortunately, it was against a pretty good football team that had been through a lot in a week's time. We have no excuses. We got beat. Best team won that night in terms of mistakes. We made more mistakes than they did. We made some that were really glaring that we would have hoped that we wouldn't make. But I always look at the glass half full instead of half empty. We are a much better team than we were this time last year. We got a chance to even improve, get better. Really impressed with our offense in most of the game, other than the red zone the first few drives, and we dropped a few footballs. But last year we had a tough time making a first down on this same defense, and showed me that our running game is going to be a little bit better. We got a chance to be better. I think Gunner, everybody looks at the quarterback. Did he do good? Did he do bad? There's a lot of things he'd love to have back. Made some bad throws, made some good throws, had some drops, made a lot of good decisions. Ran the offense better than what he did last year, most of the year that we had. So just looking at that point, I think you got to look at it. The fact that hey, we've got a lot more games to come, and it is what it is. We got beat, so you can't worry about that. You got to keep worrying about get to worry about the next game, the next day. How you can get better. Bright spot in the game, our offensive line was much better against this team than it was a year before. The team had just gotten 10 sacks against a Penn State team, and they barely laid a hand on Gunner the entire night. And we had to throw the ball quite a bit, getting behind, had to come from behind, really open it up, not have the opportunity to continue to run the ball because we got down, 22 points. But really proud of the offensive line. They gelled, they got better as we went on. I thought Gunner got more confidence in the offensive line, and you could tell it in the pocket. Now, he did get sacked one time, but that's going to happen as many, 51 times. And so a lot of bright points in what we did. Turnovers, you're not going to win many games against good teams when you turn the ball over like that. A couple unlucky. We got big receivers that's going to try to get the football. We tipped it, and they just have to be in the right place, right time. A couple of passes that we'd love to have back, thrown the linebackers right to them, and but those can be corrected. The thing that we've got to do is understand what we've got to do to get better in terms of each position. And Gunner, again, being the quarterback, he's going to take a lot of the fault lands on him because he handles the football. Is just try to make better decisions. But we've got to score in the red zone. I mean, I don't want to get into that. We got into it a little bit last year of being in the red zone and not being able to get touchdowns and have to kick field goals. I mean, it's good football teams. Once I can understand twice is, you can't do it. You can't give up opportunity to score more points and have a chance to let your defense turn it loose. So offensively, we had some glaring hope of this offense getting better. A lot of room for improvement, but again, around 600 yards offense against a team last year that we struggled even putting a drive together. Gives us hope, and we're going to go back to work today and get ready and try to make this offense better, knowing that we made some mistakes on offense on play call. Eddie Grant will be the first to tell you why he throws the ball on first down. 2-yard line was 20-something seconds ago with a timeout. I asked the same thing. I listened to it, and unfortunately, you don't try to throw the ball in the middle of the field. The coverage that they just happened to get into, our receivers had to go inside releases instead of outside, and it worked out for them. They made the play. So, not going to complain about that. It is what it is. So, defensively, I thought that, looked up the scoreboard with 4 or 5 minutes to go in the first half. They got 30 yards. And I'm thinking, wow, what a change, difference from last year. Now, we did give up that drive. We had a poor tackle in the open field on a screen pass that really did us in. You'd like to have that played back, but, they executed, we didn't. But I liked how we handled defensively for most of the game. I thought we got too aggressive in the third quarter. we sat down and talked. We talk about all the strategies that we have going into certain situations. And you know, sometimes you start trying to do too many things on offense and defense, trying to help the other group out. We tried to help the offense out of making plays on defense instead of sticking to what we were doing, and they were able to get some big plays on us. So unfortunately that happened. We learned from it as coaches and as players, and we go over all those things. So I'm really thrilled about most of the tackling on defense. We didn't play as well in the secondary as I would have hoped. We played a third down play that they threw a corner out and the kid threw a great pass and they made the catch, but we got to play that better, make it a little bit harder for them. So there was some things that we did very good on defense that we didn't do last year, but there were some things that we've got to improve on. Obviously, the glaring weakness that we had in the game was 3 plays on the kicking game. We missed a field goal, we give up a kick for a touchdown, and we give up an onside kick. You can't do that. You know, we can obviously you can miss a field goal, but you can't give 7 points up holding the kick off the second half. I changed a little bit of strategy. I brought the guys out earlier to try to get them loose and get their mind back in the second half, knowing it was a little cooler. First time either team had been in cool weather, and I wanted our guys to come out and stretch and really get their mind on what was getting ready to happen in the third quarter. And for some reason, we just didn't show up in terms of most of it. But again, we changed a little bit of strategy on defense, which didn't work for us. And then, of course, they got the onside kick. They went for the juggler, and it worked. Proud of the team for fighting back. My God, we were down 22 points, and we come within a play of having an opportunity to put that thing in overtime with the momentum that we had. But we didn't do it. They did a good job. They won the game. They brought it to us. They made the plays when they had to. We didn't. Now we go to the next one. Miami, Ohio, rival game. You look at it and say, we got a lot of guys coming back. They lost some of their good players. I figured out after 2 years, this game, it makes no difference. How they played last week, how we played. It'll be a good football game. This is their Super Bowl. This is one that we look at as a huge game. It's a rival game. They'll get their best. Hopefully we'll give our best. It's a game that people kind of take pride in over the years. Sometimes it's lost its luster, but again, for football teams, it's still there. And so we've got to understand that. But we can't worry about who we're playing this week. We've got to go get better. And we're going to practice our tail off this week, and then we'll have a quick turnaround for another game next week. So looking forward to the challenge. They lost their quarterback and their tight end, who was very good football players last year. They got 2 new guys. And last week they had a tough game against Wisconsin, a different team that they'll see in us. We throw a different type of pitch in what Wisconsin does. And so that might be in our favor a little bit, but they do throw the football. And so that'll give their defense an opportunity to work against their offense. Their defense is very similar to ours in terms of philosophy. So there's comparisons on both sides. Going to their place, I remember last time going over there, we were heavy favorite, and neither team scored until like the fourth quarter. It was one of the most boring games to watch if you're a fan, obviously, and for coaches, you're kind of sitting on pins and needles hoping you'd be the first one to score. Then last year, went back and forth, went down to the fourth quarter, and I don't foresee it doing anything different this year. So we're going to get ready to play and get ready to play for the victory bell, and hopefully we have the opportunity to get better this week. Questions?
Do you think it's lost some of its luster if it has because you guys dominated so much?
Well, probably because they hadn't been quite as good as they were back. I guess what was it, late '90s? I haven't gone back that far and looked at film or anything, but again, it goes in circles. These things go in circles. Again, I won a big rival game down at Auburn 6 years in a row, and then all of a sudden that thing turned around and went the other way, for 3 or 4 years. So that's what rival games do. Emotion plays a lot and a big part of this game, and they'll be very emotional. Hopefully we're emotional, because if one team's not, the other one, the one that has the emotion, plays with emotion, plays with pride and dignity, and plays it as a rival game, will have the advantage.
How hard is it to beat a team 9 times in a row, whether it's a rivalry or not? That seems like almost possible.
Yeah, and you know, it's his 9 times in a row. Of course, this is only my third, but you know, streaks are made to be broken, and you know sooner or later that's going to happen. The ball is going to bounce funny, going to bounce the other way. I don't care who the best team is. You know, you still got to go out and play. But I'm not saying that we are. I mean, it's the way we played last week. I mean, I'm sure they're licking their chops, but it's one of those that probably is good for us to come out of a game where we played a team that we knew in our conference was going to be a good game. Our guys were focused. They were ready to play. We put a lot of time and effort into that game, getting ready to go, and then to lose it like that in terms of making the mistakes that we made, you know, just is frustrating. But now to go play in a non-conference game, but it is a rival game, a team that's not too far down the road from us is good for probably both teams after coming off a loss.
You mentioned Keel, some of his decision-making, he had some misfortune as well. I'm sure part of it was what Temple was throwing at him on defense, but you forget sometimes that he only has a year under his belt in college football. You see him go out there and against a tough defense and make some mistakes.
Yeah.
So where do you assess where he's at right now?
Yeah, he's better mentally than he was this time last year. He knows how to run the offense. He knows it better. He knew that he was going to have some problems against this team because number one, it starts with pass rush and pressure, and he knew he was going to get some. I think he started settling down when he started getting more confidence in a younger offensive line with 2 new guards. And hey, you know, I got a little bit more time. The one interception he throws too quick. The guy comes open just a step later, and you know, it could have possibly been a big one, but you know, if, ands, or buts. But he understands the offense. He played better at times. You know, he threw. You know, we bounced right back and hit McKay on a pass on the sideline for what, 60, 70, 80 yards. I don't know how far it was. He threw a perfect pass to Johnny down the sideline. He actually played good most of the time, but in close games, most of the time not going to get it, especially as poorly as we played in some of the areas such as special teams. And so you count on him doing it all in a game like that. The only thing that we have got to do, and talk to the entire team, obviously we know the things that we made mistakes on. Offensively, we have got to get the ball in the end zone early in the game to where it helps you on defense. 3 points is good. 4 more points is a lot better. And 2 times in a row is just hard to swallow when you've got the potential that we got on offense. Knowing that they're good on defense, we're going to see some more good defenses. That's the thing we got to stretch is we got to be more consistent. You know, when we have those opportunities.
Tion Green took the first snaps last week back there. He's listed first on the depth chart here. Obviously, you're going to play them all, but is there any significance to that?
No, it's usually the play, what we're going to do. And sometimes it's more protection, blocking. You know, knowing that one of the defensive tackles they had, he was going to help on him inside. A little bit bigger guy, but Tion's practiced well. He's practiced hard. Those that seen him practice, this is Tion's light years ahead of what he was this time last year. We got a lot more confidence in him because he prepared himself better. You know, it just makes you forget about Mike Boone, which we don't. But Tion's, he is a complete guy. He's big, he's strong, but he's accepted the challenge. He runs the ball just as good as any of the other 2. But you got to like a bigger back in a game like that just for protection, because we thought we were going to keep the back end more to help our offensive line. And then as the game went on, we felt like, hey, they're doing a great job. That helped us. We were able to dump the ball off, not have to throw the ball deeper down the field and get it to our safety valve and pick up 7 or 8 yards. And so that helped as the game went on, that our offensive line was much more proficient than they had been the previous year against the same group of linemen.
What do you think changed Tion, mentally or whatever?
Just age. You know, we all, the older we get, you'd think the smarter you get about situations. And you know, he and Coach Grant had a lot of discussion because Tion's got a lot of ability, but he got a lot of growing up to do, and still does. You know, but you know, they're kids. These are young guys that we're playing with. That probably the last thing they on their mind when they get up every morning is football. And so it's our job to have patience, know when to push them, know when not to push them, but get the most out of them. Tion is having more fun now than he's had in the past. And I think it was a I think the strain and the push that Coach Grand put on him as a running back, knowing his potential, he didn't react as well. But now he understands that, you know, the potential he has. And I mean, he hadn't even got close to it, but he runs harder, he blocks harder, he's into it more. You'll see him more this week on other special teams. He wants on every special team. I mean, that's the kind of player you want. But they all do. I'm not saying just he's the guy that wants to do it all. They all want to play, but they all want to give the effort and time to work at it to be the best when they go out there in the position that they're going to play.
I talked to Tion last week, and he said that backs pretty much get to rotate themselves. They decide when they go in and when they go out. Is that true?
That's pretty much correct. We get a rotation. There's no reason. There's not a lot of difference in any of them, and we want to keep all of them, number one, fresh. When you get tired, it's when you get hurt. When you're not, you know, may not be able to get that extra juke or whatever running football. So if we can keep all three of these guys healthy throughout the year, they'll help each other as much as anything. And there's not a stingy bone in one of them body. You know, they understand if they go out and give all they got for about 3 plays, that better be enough. They better not have a lot left. You know, they better need to play off. And so somebody else goes in. Or if somebody gets a long run, you know, same scenario. But we like to go fast. And one time last week, we wanted to go because we had them on the ropes on defense. And we talked about this. It was a rotation time for the next back. Well, he goes in and the game stops because they get to stand over the ball and we can't go fast. And it's not that we subbed him, he subbed himself. So that brought up a point of emphasis that you know, they just can't go in on their own. Knowing it's their turn, they got to wait and kind of get the okay before they go into the game. Because there's times when you know, you make a big play that if you don't substitute, you can go as fast as you want, and we've got to use that to our advantage. And 1 or 2 times the other night, you know, that the rotation kind of slowed us down a bit.
So it's a combination of they kind of decide on their own, but there are times when you tell them not now, or
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll have somebody with them, and there's a certain call that we'll make that they won't go into the game, and they'll know, hey, wait till the next time, next play, because we want to take advantage of possibly them being a little bit tired, can't get lined up, and you know, we caught them with 12 men on the field one time, and you know, that's a big part of any offense now. It's just making the defense stay out there that's on the field and keep them going. It's going to be better and better for us as we get through the season.
That's a lot of trust to put on those guys to let them do that themselves. Is that because you sense that they are mature and they get along well?
Yeah, they get along well. You know, we sat down, Eddie and I did, and talked to them about, you know, rotation, carries, you know, their part. You know, Tion made 125 yards the first game. I don't know who led this time. I didn't even look at stats, but
He did again.
He did again. You know, it's the luck of the draw, because they're all good pass blockers. They can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're good with screens. They can run the ball right or left. They're good carrying the ball in the right or left hand. You look at a lot of that. And so now the one thing that can detract is turning the ball over. And who was it? Jose fumbled the first time, and you know, that plays into that factor too of holding on to the ball. So that being said, I've got full confidence in Eddie does too, and all 3 of them being able to get the job done, no matter where we're at. 1 yard coming out or 1 yard line going in, they're all about the same. Now, we did put Tion in it at Wildcat, but we did that just the simple fact that they all do Wildcat. I mean, not one of them. Every day we practice, all 3 of them do it. And Jose's probably not quite as good as the other 2 in that situation, so it'd either be Mike or Tion.
You, in the early part of the 3rd quarter, decided to go for the 2-point conversion to cut the margin to 3. Generally speaking, that kind of move would be held off until the 4th quarter when you have a better idea of what the total is going to be. What was the thought process of going for it so early in the second half?
Yeah, we were trying to get it down to 2 scores, and felt like that one wouldn't get us as close to that, you know, if we scored again to get us to that point. It's basically based off of computer percentages, whether it's the first or second or third or 4th quarter. And it's obvious point that you look at. Well, if you don't do that, and you score at the end, you kick one to go into overtime. Well, if I'd have known that, I'd have kicked it, you know, at that time. But I didn't know that. I mean, it's hard to put that in perspective, but I've had a lot better success of not guessing and going by the percentages the computer tells you than I do just rolling the dice. So we felt like, you know, we could get it done, just a little bit overthrown in the end zone. But that's a good question. Hey, if I'd have known it was going to be 8 points at the end, it could have been 7. You know, an hour earlier, I'd have gone for 1. But I've been coaching a long time. I hadn't got that feel yet, you know, how that thing's going to go. And it didn't look good at that time. We were just struggling to keep up. Obviously, the third quarter got us 21 points we gave up in a matter of short period of time. But it's, you know, and we talked about every situation. We talked about the last play of the game where we threw it in the middle of the field. We talked about going for 2 or 1. And I'd still go for 2. Just knowing the situation at that part, not knowing what's going to happen for the next hour and a half. So it's just something you got to go with.
Well, a follow-up to that then, when you did score to get it to 8, I think, or 15 maybe it was, you didn't go for 2. So the second time,
But if you miss it at that point, then it puts you more than 2 scores down. We had to get to a point where you got a chance, you know, to have 2 scores down. You don't want it to be 3 possessions that you got to have. So if we'd have gone for it on the one when we could have made it, you know, you have 1 more, it still wouldn't have made any difference. It would have taken us 3 scores instead of 2. So we kicked the 1 to make it 2 scores. Now we'd have still had the 2-point play. But me and you'll have this discussion at practice today.
one other question.
The rest of them don't want to hear this.
One other question. It appeared as if the bench shrunk a little bit for this particular game. You played a lot of guys. You went with pretty much just 5 offensive linemen, pretty much with 2 inside linebackers, and pretty much, I would say Silverberry had to have the majority of snaps at defensive end.
Yeah, he played too much. You know, and again, that's the things we talked about. He played, I want to say 45 snaps, and I don't want to get a guy on defense probably the highest 35 to 40. He was playing so well. He really played well in the game. And it's hard to take a guy out like that, especially as you're catching up at the end of the game. You got to play good defense, and he's in great shape. So he could play 50, but I look for the entire year. I don't look for just that game, you know. And so I didn't dress as many out. You know, we needed a more organized sideline, knowing that we weren't going to play as many. There was some guys that probably we would have gotten in the game. As you said, we played 2 linebackers, and there's going to be games that we do that with. But it was a situation we got into that I never felt comfortable about putting somebody else in the game because it was, you know, been more rolling the dice. And I felt more comfortable with the starters. But you're right. We didn't play as many. Planned on 2, but when you get in the heat of the battle and all of a sudden they're jumping on you instead of you jumping on them, it's hard to make a change for a guy that, well, let's see if he can do it. You know, the guys out there already know what they're seeing.
Going into this week, will you use Saturday more of a motivator, or do you tell the guys to leave the pass?
Oh no, that one's over with. You know, after we finish on Sunday, that game's over with. They know that. Every team I've been, they know the situation, whether you're playing good or whether you're playing average or what you need to work on. And so all the work goes now on Tuesday and Wednesday and half of a Thursday practice. So now we're in game mode. We got to go in there and get ready to get some short weeks. But your team has to recognize strengths and weaknesses. You got to understand what you got to do to get better, all the little things. You know, they know that the special team stunk. As he did the week before. A lot of changes. You won't recognize a group out there this week. And if they don't get it done, we'll make more changes. But we just got to find the right combination and put more starters. As I said after the game the other night, you know, you try to get guys in the game, you feel like they're fresh and go get the job done. But sometimes coming off the bench haven't done much. You know, they don't quite get into the game as well as the guys that's playing on offense or defense. So we'll get it corrected as we go. It's just unfortunate that made so many bad mistakes on special teams in that game, again.
Can you describe the environment you expect to walk into on Saturday?
The environment, you know, this game's unique. Last year here was, I think, one of the biggest crowds that we had all year, maybe the biggest crowd that we've had in a long time in a game, over 40,000. But it was homecoming for us.
Yes, sir.
And my understanding is it's homecoming this week.
Yep.
From Miami, Ohio, so that'll bring extra people in. You know, as a coach, you don't worry about all that. You know, you just got to worry about your 70 guys you're going to take over. Hopefully they're prepared, but they understand, you know, the significance of the game. There's a lot of people that have been part of this game that like to, you know, continue, you know, winning from Cincinnati, and there's a lot of people who've played this game or coached this game from Miami, Ohio that want to play better to get the bell back. So we're fighting for something here, for pride for other people, not just, you know, the football team. And so they need to understand that, but they also need to understand, well, we got to play better. We got to play 4 quarters. We can't worry about rivalries or bells or any of that stuff. You know, we got a long season in front of us, and win or lose, we got to play a game, a good game, and we got to get better and understand our strengths and get better at those and make our weaknesses better and quit turning the dang ball over. That's bottom line.
Anything else?